Hi everyone, this is Chapter 19, Applying the Science. This chapter centers around choosing and making scientifically sound decisions on things in our life, like vaccinating your children. It's become very popular recently to not vaccinate your children. Many celebrities are not vaccinating their children. People are scared to vaccinate their children, all based on incorrect or ill-informed individuals spreading rumors that are just absolutely not scientifically true. So, how do you know if something is scientifically true or correct? Well, that's what this chapter is going to help us determine. We're supposed to be vaccinated to protect us from all kinds of horrible infectious diseases that used to kill tons and tons of children. Even back in the time of my parents being children, before vaccines, measles, mumps, whooping cough, all kinds of things. If you go to any old cemetery from the 1800s and the late 1800s, early 1900s, lots and lots of babies are buried in those cemeteries, all of which died of some infectious disease that we now have vaccines to protect us against. But it seems that the general public ignores history and has forgotten the horrors of infectious disease and are choosing not to vaccinate their children, leaving them open to getting these horrible diseases where sometimes the survival rate was less than 50%. That's pretty scary. So what do vaccines do? They protect us from all kinds of these infectious diseases. People are scared of them. Why? Because they've heard terrible side effects, which are not true. So we're going to talk about evaluating evidence out there. Pseudoscience, real science, what do we believe? How do you find out the truth? So let's talk a little bit about how vaccines work. First, it was way back in 1796 when the first vaccine was tested. And since then, lots and lots are out there. It's really tricking our immune system into thinking that a real invader or something really bad has entered your body. So we use one protein of a virus or a dead virus that can't possibly hurt you, cannot make you sick, but it tricks the immune system into thinking it's something really bad, and our immune system will mount attack against it and make cells called memory cells. Guess what they do? They remember. So that if you ever see the actual virus or another vaccine, if you get a booster shot, you will attack that virus before it can make you feel sick. So you never know you actually were infected. Your immune system clears it out before it makes you ill. For the flu vaccine, it's just proteins, so they can't cause the flu. I'm so done with people saying, oh, I got the flu shot and it gave me the flu. It's impossible. Yes, you might have some flu symptoms the first 24 or 48 hours because your immune system and your attack on the flu virus gives you inflammation. What's inflammation? Swelling. What happens with swelling? Snot, mucus, right? Sore throat. You feel kind of yucky, maybe a little bit feverish, maybe some achiness. That's just your immune system launching the attack. Clears very quickly. And now you have immunity against the flu viruses that were in that vaccine. A lot of times people get vaccinated during flu season. They go, oh, a bunch of people in my office have the flu. I better get my flu shot. So they get their flu shot, but they already have the flu. They just don't know it, right? It usually takes 2 to 5 days to start feeling sick once you're infected. So the vaccine gave me the flu. That's a bunch of crap. People! Okay, moving on. So here we go. Harmless form of the virus, either dead or a part of it. It can't replicate itself. It can't make more. It can't do damage. It can't hurt you or just part of the protein. Our immune system launches this attack, right? Thinks it's real, takes care of it, and then remembers. That's the most important part. It remembers that exact virus or that exact bacteria. Doesn't remember any others. You need a vaccine for each disease or each virus separately. It could be all together in one vaccine, but the vaccine for the chickenpox does not protect you from the flu. It's not the same thing. Your immune system needs to see each one and remember each one. Okay. So everybody recommends vaccines. Everybody. Scientists, doctors. So why are all these people saying, oh my gosh, all these moms said, my kid got autism after getting vaccines. Vaccines cause autism. That is so much crap, I can't even tell you. We're going to get to the evidence. But I'm saying up front, there is no correlation between vaccines and autism in children. All right, so a scientific claim. Somebody claims something, right? A scientific claim, you must be able to test. We talked about that in chapter 1. Has a hypothesis that's testable. Companies can make scientific claims, but they might not be true if they weren't scientifically tested. So remember the barefoot running shoes? They claimed all these wonderful things were going to happen. It's back to nature, just like when we were cave people. We'd run around barefoot. Shoes are bad, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was a bunch of crap. None of those things actually came out when they were independently tested. They had to retract those claims, and they had to pay people that bought those. Guess what else? Airborne. Remember that? Oh, you take airborne, you're not going to get sick. That's a bunch of crap. Not true. They were sued. They had to pay out. They had to remove those claims. Now I think it just says something like it boosts your immune system, which could still be crap, but it's got vitamin C in it. That's pretty much it. So how do we know what's true? We really need to look at how basic science works and how to make informed decisions. Where do we go to find this information? Look for credentials. Who wrote it? Is it published in a peer-reviewed journal? Did a bunch of scientists review it, or is it just one guy spouting some BS on their website? Read some books. Educate yourself. Don't listen to other uneducated individuals that are spewing what somebody else told them or some mass email or somebody on Facebook posted. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, yes, yes. Read the chapter. It's a good one. So what is bias? It's a prejudice, opinion, ideological, or political belief. Could be a religious belief. What you think that doesn't necessarily have any scientific backing, right? A lot of people are biased when they're trying to sell you something. Oh, they'll tell you airborne is going to save your life and you'll never be sick again. Who says that? The company trying to sell it. Why? Because they want to make money. I mean, maybe they really did think. Maybe there was a correlation, right? Some mom created it and she started taking it and she felt better and she didn't get sick, so she thought she could market it. It was probably out of the goodness of her heart to help other people. But it wasn't clinically tested. It wasn't scientifically tested. You can't just go around saying it's going to fix all your problems when it doesn't. And then the company that marketed for it obviously wants to make money. Sounds good. People will buy it if we say they won't get sick. Take this before you go on an airplane. You'll never catch a cold again. Yeah, BS. Okay, so you need to find out how was the research supported? Who did the experiments? Were there any experiments even done? Was it basic research? This is just finding information, usually funded by the government, to advance knowledge, not to sell anything, not to make any money, to make overall public health better. Applied research is when business or industry do the majority of funding. What does business or industry want to do? Make money. If they don't make money, they go out of business. So they need to make money. Doesn't mean it's less credible, but you do need to think about it. If the company did the trial, maybe there was some bias. If an outside evaluator did the trial that wouldn't gain or lose with either result, that's a little more believable, right? Money is a very strong motivator to support or reject something. Again, the whole problem with bias. We want to remove as much of that as possible. We look in the literature, the scientific literature. Anything that's a secondary source, right, is reviewing other people's experiments, summarizing research. Those are easier for laypersons or non-scientists to understand. Textbooks are a secondary literature. I took a lot of really complicated information and I tried to make it more palatable for non-majors, people who aren't scientists, so that everybody could understand science. Anything on the internet is sketchy, right? Even if it's a real government site or university, respected institution, we always want to check the source. If it's published, I have a website, I could post anything I want up there. I could make up all kinds of baloney that's not true. But it's a reputable source, at least I'd like to think it is. So no, you still need to make sure my studies were published, that other scientists evaluated it and said, hey, this isn't crap. Primary literature is what we publish. Experiments contains actual data with controls. Remember that? What we compare it to, we don't do anything to those guys, right? Compare it to, or placebo maybe. Don't believe anything you read. It's so much crap. It's unbelievable. Look it up. Go for something that is reputable. Why are we less confident? Because idiots post stuff all over social media. What about a blog? That's just some random person's rantings. No. If it's a scientist, then read the blog and see if they've published any of it. Is it just their bias? I don't know. Figure it out. Think for yourself. All right, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. This is good. Is it a correlation or a causation? The only study that ever correlated vaccines to autism was a really poorly uncontrolled small sample size study. It was 12 kids that they looked at randomly. 8 of them had symptoms of autism after receiving a vaccine. They didn't check before. As it turns out, all 8 had symptoms before. When other groups expanded this study to lots of kids, there was no correlation at all between autism and vaccines. But no media wanted to put that on the news. That wasn't big news, right? What does media do? It always takes things that are negative or scary and exaggerates, right? That's how they make money. That's how they get people to read it. Nobody wants to read, oh, and by the way, remember that big thing that we had everybody all worked up about? Yeah, that was just crap and we suck at our job and we lied to you guys. No, they don't say that. So people still believe this stupid study, even though now there's been hundreds of studies of vaccines and there is no correlation to autism. Vaccinate your children. Don't let them die of some ridiculous infectious disease that's totally preventable. See? Not scientific. Could never be replicated. Had no control group. No random sample. It was kids that they already thought had autism. Ugh, so sad that it's just undermined vaccines in this country, that kids are put at danger for absolutely no reason. So correlations can be a coincidence, right? So why is there more autism now? Better incidences, more screening, more awareness. A correlation is just when two things happen to happen at the same time, right? It was a correlation, which, right, it's really not even that, because those studies sucked, but definitely not a causation. So a correlation, again, in the natural world. Another correlation is linking autism to the increase in organic food consumption. Again, a correlation, not a causation. What? Organic foods? Those are supposed to be healthier for us. Well, let's take a look. Autism is the triangles in blue. Here we go. Since 1998, there's been an increase in diagnosis of autism. And look at that. It is directly proportional to the increase in organic food consumption and sales. Would anybody jump on this and say, oh my gosh, organic food is causing autism? No, people don't want to believe that. They think organic food is good for them. It's not science. It's not scary. Anything scientific seems scary to people who don't understand, who didn't take my Biology 100 class. Society jumped all over vaccines because people in general are scared of science. Were you guys scared of science before my class? Maybe. I hope you're not now. I hope you love it. And you can be an advocate for science for your other friends who might be scared. Now you're knowledgeable. Now you can make good scientific decisions. Pseudoscience, right? Scientific sounding bullshit. Not the scientific method. Not controlled. A correlation, or not even a good correlation. Just total crap. Anecdotal evidence that somebody said, oh, well, after I drank the vitamin C in the orange juice, I suddenly, grew 10 inches. Oh, vitamin C makes you grow. Just stuff people say or do or think. Not tested. Not scientific. So here's a way to look if is it real science or is it not. Does it have a real hypothesis? Right? If it's not based on observable and quantifiable phenomenon, then it's pseudoscience. Can't be measured. Well, then that's crap. Observation, clear and measurable hypothesis? No, it's very vague. It's not testable. In other words, another word for pseudoscience to me is crap. Or, what else? BS. Okay? So, it's not science. All of these things, in order to make a conclusion, you have to go through rigorous steps to be sure we're saying something that's accurate, not biased, in a controlled experiment. Again, how do we evaluate scientific claims? We look at all of this stuff and think for yourself. Don't let other people think for you. Some things you might want to think about that we've already talked about. Some other types of studies. I'm not going to ask you about these. You don't need to memorize for the exam, but to know that they're out there, just to feel a little bit more educated. Again, this whole stupid autism thing was retracted in the literature, but the media, did they care? No. Media ignored. So we didn't hear about this. We didn't hear that it was total crap. The scientists did, because we all looked it up. But the regular people, you go ask people out on the street, yep, that's what they're going to tell you. So anytime you hear people talking about vaccines causing autism, please stand up. Please advocate for the kids, because they have no control. It's the parents that need to have them vaccinated to keep them safe. fear versus fact, right? People get scared. Again, that whole scared of science thing is really terrible. Luckily, this storyline, she did fully vaccinate all her kids because she did the thinking for herself and she looked stuff up. Again, we can evaluate vaccines. They're evaluated and done clinical trials until they're so safe for most people, unless you have allergies, which your doctor is supposed to take care of that for you. So it really, really goes through rigorous testing before they put a vaccine on the market. So why do we start testing on animals or cells? Because we want to make sure it's safe first. We don't want to test on humans. We don't want to risk lives. It's always been tested in lots of ways first to make sure it's very safe for human beings. And still, as vaccines are being used, they're still being tested. All the results, anybody whose arm swelled up, anybody who felt sick, anybody who had a headache, all of that stuff is reported to make sure they're safe when they're used in mass. All right? Again, making choices for vaccination is not just about your kid. You're putting everybody at danger if you don't vaccinate. So it's called community immunity or herd immunity. For example, if no one's vaccinated and there's, the red people are sick, lots of people are sick and it spreads through the population and lots of people die. If only some people are vaccinated, in this case we're showing the yellow people are vaccinated, the red people are sick, right? Some people are vaccinated, fewer sick people, fewer contagious people, but still lots of people get it. Only the people who are vaccinated don't get it. And then if lots and lots are vaccinated and only a couple people aren't and a couple people are sick, right? Very few actually get sick. It's harder to spread the disease because it passes person to person. So the more people vaccinated, the safer it is for everyone. As more and more individuals are not vaccinated, the more dangerous the diseases can be and can cause an epidemic where lots and lots of people get sick and die. Again, right, infectious diseases, once thought to be eliminated, come right back. Measles has become a large problem, makes people sick, can kill young children and old adults. It's a very scary disease. And guess what? Totally preventable just by vaccinating. So make sure you make good decisions about all things. Think for yourself. Look things up. Don't be scared of science, and don't let your friends be either. Be an advocate. Stand up.